Hello friends, let's have a discussion on nonverbal communication or body language. Basically, we tend to focus on the words, but our nonverbal behavior says it a lot. That means we speak with our body more than our words. The question is, why communication? Humans are a social species with an innate desire to communicate with each other. One of the strongest capacities of a social creature is its ability to communicate. Wherever you go in the world, you will see groups of people gathered together to share ideas, catch up on trivia, and engage in all forms of communication that are currently technologically possible. History of body language. The use of body language goes back to prehistory and indeed pre-language times. After all, when we didn't know how to communicate verbally, all we had was to communicate with nonverbal signals. What are the roots of body language then? Is it something we learn or born with? It's hard to answer. There are two answers, possible answers of course. Body language is something that evolved over time to answer human social needs. Scientists and anthropologists still study which gestures developed and to what purpose. Many of them can be studied from prime apes that use gesticulations to communicate with each other. Body language in communication can be divided into several groups. Some gestures and reactions are inborn and they are universal around the world. Others are learned by observation and some are refined with age and use. What exactly is the role of body language? While today this may seem primitive, in the days before we knew how to speak, grunting and waving was often enough to get the point through. Sure, we couldn't create anything by our own. We ate many things, but definitely our verbal language is our own language. There is no true communication in face-to-face encounter without body language. The verbal and the non-verbal communication complement each other. Body language in communication is the flavor that comes on top of the main idea. There are several definitions of body language. The conscious and unconscious movements and postures by which attitudes and feelings are communicated. Body language is a type of nonverbal communication in which physical behaviors as opposed to words are used to express or convey the information, such as behavior includes facial expressions, body posture, gestures, eye movement, touch, and the use of space. Body language exists in both animals and humans. The movements or positions of our body that show other people how you are feeling without using words. Then what exactly is body language? It is nonverbal communication which involves body movement. It is called gesturing. It is useful in a workplace, and because most of the times we are communicating non-verbally. Not all values, beliefs and thoughts, intentions are communicated verbally. In an ongoing communication, most of those are communicated non-verbally, and they express our feelings and intentions through conscious and unconscious movements, postures accompanied by gestures, facial expressions, eye contacts and touch do better things. And it's a separate language of the body within the ongoing communication, that is body language. How does body speak? We are constantly reading each other's facial expressions and body language. Consciously or unconsciously, we are speaking through body. And these are the subtle impulses which are reflected. Facial expressions, eye contacts, voice, posture, gesture, breath, attention, empathy, authenticity of our words, everything has been conveyed through our body, and that is how the body speaks. There are many researchers and psychologists who have studied body language. Of course, the father of evolution, Charles Darwin is the first man to study the body language of humans and animals. In his book, The Expression of the Emotions in Man and Animals, in 1872, he has discussed that all mammals showed emotion through facial expressions. Why do our facial expressions of emotions take the particular forms they do? Why do we wrinkle our nose when we are disgusted and bare our teeth when we are enraged? Darwin attributed these facial expressions to serviceable associated habits, which are behaviors that earlier in our evolutionary history had specific and direct functions. Humans continue to make facial expressions because they have acquired communicative value throughout evolutionary history. External evidence of their internal state, that is, body language. The expression of the emotions in man and animals. In this book, he has studied types, effects, and expressions of nonverbal communication and behavior. There are many researchers. After Darwin, you will find in mid-1960s, there was Argel and Dean who studied on the relationship between eye contact and the conversation distance. Ralph Exlin discussed patterns of looking while speaking and looking while listening. Eckhard Hayes, he discussed pupil dilation in his Scientific American. Robert Sommer discussed relationship between personal space and the environment. Robert Rosenthal, he discussed expectations made by teachers and researchers can influence their outcomes, and that subtle nonverbal cues may play an important role in this. Shirley Witt's nonverbal communication got quite popularity. Marine LaFrance and Clara Mayow's moving body language, which focused on how to use nonverbal communication, attract other people, and how to read a person like a book. These are the quite popular books after 60s. The journal Environment Psychology and Nonverbal Behaviors, founded in 1976. But the most discussed person in the study of body language is Dr. Albert Mehrabian. He's an American, and he has studied relative importance of verbal and nonverbal messages. He constructed a number of psychological measures, including the arousal seeking tendency scale. Mehrabian's findings on inconsistent messages of feelings and attitudes is 7%, 38%, and 55% rule. He has studied relative impact of words, tone of voice, and body language when speaking. This is the pie chart through which we can understand that our spoken words communicate only 7%, or through spoken words we communicate only that much amount of communication we achieve. 38% is voice and tone, and 55% is the role of our body language in communication. Of course, when we are using our body language, it must be a positive body language, because a positive body language helps the person to be more assertive and assist in putting his or her opinion forward more easily than the others. Positive body language is liked by other people, and the person carrying a positive body language gets more attention and favor. As all of us know, that this is a key to success. Most of the people don't even understand it. They take it quite casually, and they are quite adamant to change even. They don't know what miracles can be created if we use proper body language. It can help to build sustainable private and work relationships, to work easier in a multicultural world, bond with colleagues and employees, influence people in sales and other domains, present our ideas with a bigger impact, and protect our charisma. So there are two different ways that how we speak through our body. One is the positive and the other is obviously negative. What is positive body language then? It must be, it is must in workplaces and corporate environment, or rather everywhere, wherever you go. Healthy body language fosters team spirit in the workplace, boosts the morale of the employees. Delegation of responsibilities become easier and conveys respect for colleagues. It displays interest, reception, and joy using positive body language. A gentle smile, open palms, leaning forward, and eye contact can go a long way in establishing rapport with another person. And it helps building a sustainable, healthy relationship. While negative body language can give way to a lot of misinterpretations and misunderstandings. Maintaining a body posture and absurd body movements that is offensive to the other person can ruin a relationship. And you need to understand the emotions and mood of the other person and need. Therefore, you have to customize our behavior accordingly and to avoid damaged relationship. Scientific field of interpretation of body language and facial expressions is called kinesics. The term was coined by Ray Birdwhistell in 1952. He made films of people and analyzed them to spot patterns of behavior in various social situations. All body movements had a meaning, and that they could be interpreted much like a language. Kineme, much like phoneme in language, which represents the smallest abstract speech sound used to construct words. Kinemes should always be analyzed as clusters to make valid and meaningful conclusion. So you will find here various types of body language. These are kinesics. So actually, these are the basic types of communication. One is posture, body language, of course, eye contact, blinking, tone of voice, facial expressions, smell, time, personal presentation, gestures, pitch of voice, etc. So what are the correct and incorrect postures? You will find here, these are the correct ones. You have to stand erect, you have to walk in a very nice manner, and the other ones that we see here on the screen, they are incorrect. In humans, one of the means of communication is the posture of the body, in addition to facial expressions, personal distances, gestures, and body movements. Posture conveys information about your interpersonal relations, personality traits such as confidence, submissiveness, and openness, etc. Standing postures create great impression if we use it properly. These are various types. Actually, the word posture comes from the Latin verb ponere, which means to put or place. The general concept of human posture refers to the carriage of the body as a whole, the attitude of the body, or the position of the limbs, the arms and legs. You will find here which are good standing postures. We have to stand erect and our hands should be open. If we have closed hands, that means we are either reserved or we are trying to hide something. So in the next image you will find exactly how one should stand, how we should have eye contacts, how we should use our limbs. So in standing, our spine must be erect. So always stand erect with the spine erect, of course. Hunching or slouching gives an impression of laziness or lethargy. A person won't like to approach you to talk if you appear to be weak or lethargic. Active personality preferred by people all the time. Bad standing posture symbolizes low self-esteem. And facing the person is always appropriate. We should not face sideways from our listeners, because that will give very bad kind of view to other person. Try to stand facing the person who you are communicating. Watch out for the same signals from the other person as well. Direct your heart towards the other person. Standing with arms crossed over the chest is also a big no. Stand akimbo or with your hands over your waist. Having crossed arms symbolizes defensive position. So this is the right sitting position, good sitting posture, very scientific one. Most of the times we do not observe it because we are so absorbed in our work that we neglect it. If we sit in this position, there is less fatigue and it gives great impression also. In sitting postures, when we go out, we find that people are quite lousily using their body. That shows arrogance, or that shows authority or negative aspect. You will find here, if we are sitting legs apart, that shows arrogance. It is not liked by the people. Or this kind, another kind of image that shows authority. See here. So if your hands are folded, legs apart, and in between your legs, then it shows your nervousness. And if you are folding your hands or crossing your legs, that shows apprehension or nervousness. In see here, very funny kind of leg twisting we find here, that shows nervousness, and it is quite common with women. The right position is this. You have to sit like this. You have to rest your hands on your thighs, and there must be some distance between legs. So gestures play a great role, because through gestures we are communicating so many things together. For example, we are angry, or we are happy, or we are rejecting something, or we are apprehensive, or we are appreciating something. So gestures are very important. We have to observe, because gestures allow us to convey various feelings and thoughts: approval, affection, hostility, contempt, and so many other things. Handshakes. Many things about the personality can be understood through handshakes. Whether the person is extrovert or compassionate or rude or introvert, sociable, authoritative. The personality traits are exposed through handshake. You will find here various types of handshakes. There are power shakes. To avoid the power shake, step in with left foot when you see the power shake coming. Boredom shake. This person shakes hands strongly and grips the forearm with the other hand. Bone crushers shake. This is a very disgusting kind of shake. Wet fish shake, confident shake, empathetic shake, patronizing shake. These are various types. So equal handshake is always preferable. In body language, our face plays the most important part. Human face is extremely expressive, through which we convey innumerable expressions. Facial expressions are universal: happiness, excitement, sadness, anger, disgust. These are the expressions that you will find very common everywhere. Then limb movements. If we use appropriate limb movements, this can create a miracle. Of course, the limb movements are quite sometimes deceptive also. It's okay to have some limb movements. Moving hands to a certain extent shows your interest in the conversation and your excitement levels too. Let's not trade too much with hands, of course, and try to keep our palms in our pockets, hands in our pockets, or you have to have your palms open. You should also stand with your legs apart. Don't fiddle with your nose using fingers because that symbolizes shyness and lack of confidence. Moreover, the legs crossed, if they are crossed, they signify uncertainty and closed nature. These are some of the common gesture clusters. Aggressiveness. In aggressiveness, the person moves closer, hands on the hips, sitting on edge of chair. This is not a very acceptable kind of a gesture. In defensiveness, arms are crossed, on the chest locked ankles and clenched fists, chair back as a shield, crossing legs. Whereas cooperation is sitting on edge of chair, hand on the face gestures, unbuttoned coat, head tightened. Frustration should be avoided, of course, when you are in public. Frustration is short breaths or tightly clenched hands, wringing hands, fist like gestures, pointing index finger, palm back to neck, kicking at ground, or an imaginary object. This is the expression of evaluation. Hand to cheek gesture, head tilted, stroking chins, and these are gestures with glasses spacing. When you have suspicion, or if you are screening somebody, or if you are secretive, you are looking sideways. There are sideways glances, feet or body pointing towards the door, rubbing nose, rubbing the eye. This also is not quite acceptable movement. Nervousness. When you are nervous, you are clearing your throat, view sound whistling, then fidgeting in chair, tugging at ear hands, over mouth while speaking, tugging at pants while sitting, jingling, money in pocket. These things must be avoided. Boredom, impatience. If suppose our students, they are showing it in the classes, how do we feel? So drumming on table, head in hand, blank stare, uneasy movements, watching the wristwatch, thudding, stamping, these are some of the expressions. Anger and unhappiness is not at all acceptable when you are in public. Yes, the best way of communication is smile, because it is the most strong body language signal to influence our first impression, because smile gives the first impression. It is the most recognized signal everywhere. Smiling is an international language, I must say. It is an accessory of our face. It is universal sign. The happy smile is contagious. Smile generates smile. This mirroring reaction is a part to connect people. What 1,000 words cannot do, that can be done by mere smile. Of course, there is genuine smile and fake smile also. We should avoid fake smile, undoubtedly. So eye contacts. I must say that our eyes speak, which we do not want to convey even through our language or through our body. Eye contact is a very tricky art to master, but vital to effective communication. Eye contact provides social information to the person you are listening to and talking to. Too much eye contact and you could be seen as aggressive. Too little eye contact and you can be seen as having no interest in the person speaking. So masters of eye contact are great salespersons, politicians, and good public speakers. There are various other types of communication, body language. Proxemics. This is a scientific field that investigates personal space. The term was coined by Edward T. Hall in 1963, who was a cultural anthropologist. Personal space and territory, according to him, is very important. Personal space, how a person feels and treats the immediate space around him. Territory is about how a person claims a particular piece of space and aims to defend it against others. The field is not limited to humans, and studies have also been carried out on animals and their attitude towards space and territory. So, this is the nice, ideal way of having proxemics. Intimate space, how it should be, then personal space, social space, and public space. In intimate space, you are quite close to your family members, your relatives. In personal space, you have your friends, distant relatives. In social space, perhaps you are dealing with the society. And the public space, there need not have anybody who recognizes you, but still we are moving there. So, haptics. This is the study of how humans or animals communicate with each other using touch. For people, communication via touch includes handshakes, hugging, kissing, holding hands, patting on the shoulder, and even high-fiving. Touching is one of the fundamental nonverbal communication mediums. Touch is the earliest sense developed in the fetus. Touch is critical for obtaining information about an environment through sensing surfaces, but also is vital for physical intimacy. Interpretation of touch gestures highly depends on social context, cultural background, the relationship between the people engaged, and also the way it takes place. Touching is treated differently by different cultures, and even the levels of touching vary. Certain signals such as high five may only be recognized or practiced in certain cultures. People from other cultures may not know how to engage in it or interpret it. So, haptic communication is a branch of nonverbal communication that refers to the ways in which people and animals communicate and interact via the sense of touch. Touch is the most sophisticated and intimate of the six senses. Touch or haptics, from the ancient Greek word haptikos, is extremely important for communication. It is vital for survival. Vocalics or paralanguage. The vocal qualities that go along with verbal messages such as pitch, volume, rate, vocal quality, the verbal feelers. Speech helps convey meaning, regulate conversational flow, and communicate the intensity of a message. Greetings have a rising emphasis and farewells have falling emphasis. Paralanguage provides important context for the verbal content of speech volume that helps communicate intensity. A louder voice is usually thought of as more intense, although a soft voice combined with a certain tone and facial expression can be just as intense. Volume is adjusted based on setting, the distance between people, and the relationship. Typing in all caps is usually seen as offensive as it is equated with yelling. Then chronemics refers to the body language. This is the study of how time affects communication. Time can be classified into several different categories, including biological, personal, physical, and cultural time. Biological time refers to the rhythms of living things. Humans follow a circadian rhythm. When natural rhythms are disturbed, physical and mental health, communication, competence, and personal relationships can suffer. So therefore, we have to keep biological time in mind as we communicate with others. So we are special beings. As humans, we have special attributes. We have certain gifts of communication. We use our whole body to communicate. and we create miracles through it. If used properly, yes, that can create charisma, and if not, that will definitely is a setback for all of us. Nowadays we are communicating with the students online, and there are many restrictions, because one-to-one communication is always a very happy kind of thing, very cheerful kind of thing. Even though there are certain limitations, what we should do while giving lectures online is, first of all, give a nice smile, and that is enough. I think this is the vast topic that cannot be discussed in such a short period, but still I have tried to touch some of the important basic things in body language. Thank you very much.